It is, according to my cell phone, 6:30 p.m. And thank you all directors for being here. I'm Norma Martinez-Rubin, and I'm calling to order the meeting of the Western Contra Costa Transit Authority. Can we please have roll call? Thank you.
Parsons.
Present.
Tom Hanson.
Here.
Norma Martinez-Rubin.
Here?
Cameron Sakai.
Here.
Dion Bailey.
Here.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for being here. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions? Okay, I think it's approved unanimously. Any public communications? No communications reported, and we will go on to consent calendar. There are 3 items on the consent calendar. May I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
And vote, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all in favor? Yes, thank you. Okay, we go on to item 2.0, which is a closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B, Public Employee Performance Evaluation regarding the General Manager. And we will continue the closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. The agency representative tonight is your Vice Chair serving, Norma Martinez-Rubin, and unrepresented employee General Manager Thompson. We will reconvene to open session at approximately within the hour. I'm thinking we won't be that much more late than 7:40, 7:15 or so. Okay, thank you so much. We'll be back. See you in a bit. Okay, hello again. We have reconvened, the board has reconvened after closed session, and I would like to report that the board unanimously agreed to provide General Manager Rob Thompson a one-year extension to his contract with a cost of living increase of 3%. We're on to item 5.0, consideration of the amendment to the employment agreement with General Manager Robert Thompson.
I think that was it. That was that item.
That was it, the report? Okay, great. So that moves us to item 6, item for board action and discussion, and/or discussion, the item 6.1, consideration and approval of Summer Youth Free Rides Program and free weekend rides for all passengers. And the action requested is for approval of the Summer Youth Free Rides Program and free weekend rides for all passengers. So may we have your presentation,
Thank you.
General Manager?
So there is a staff report in the packet, and I've kind of got some late-breaking updates to this as of an hour ago. So just as some of the background, for a number of years, we've had free youth rides throughout Contra Costa. It used to be part of the Contra Costa-wide summer youth program. Since the last couple of years, the operators have kind of taken it on themselves to provide these rides throughout the summer. So last few years, we've done it for June and July. We've provided free rides, and then there's the Pass to Class program, which provides free passes for August and September for qualified students. So this year, we do plan to use some of our low carbon transit operations program funding that we've had on hand for a couple of years. The board approved a project 4 or 5 years ago at this point to offer, originally we were going to offer free rides on spare the air days. Operationally, that's a challenge because we have to cover fare boxes for last thing at night and then take them back off first thing in the morning. So it's always been a challenge. But those funds are going to expire at the 3rd of August. We have to expend $45,000 by. So in order to make sure we use those funds, we're planning on offering the free youth rides throughout June and July. And then because last year that worked out to be about $12,000-13,000, we certainly have additional funds. And again, just logistically, we are able to cover the fare boxes that we have out on the route on a weekend. We can cover them on a Friday and take them back off on a Sunday night. It's only 4 or 5 vehicles, so it's fairly easy to manage. So I think staff just thought this would be a good opportunity to promote weekend service. And one of the things that we hope to do with the WesCAT Evolution when we launch it is to increase some service on a weekend and have some of the local routes operate on a Sunday. So this could be sort of a prelude to encouraging people to use transit on a weekend. The update is that while ourselves, County Connection and Tri-Delta had sort of been working independently on programs, we were going to do some joint marketing and coordination. We all have different fund sources to do this. CCTA, Contra Costa Transportation Authority, are trying to work with the three of us to coordinate to what they're going to potentially be calling, what's it called? Past the Summer. So they have Past the Class, which for August and September, and they're looking to do a promotion around Past the Summer for June and July. So I think if we can coordinate that together with the operators, with the CCTA, that obviously gets more marketing behind the program, more incentives to kind of get people to ride. So that's going to be the approach that we'll have. So tonight we're just looking for approval to move ahead with the 2 programs in question.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. Are there any questions about the item? Director Sasai?
Thank you, Vice Chair. So we wanted to ask about how much in LCTOP funds for this program this year are we looking for?
Oh, so every year we get an allocation of these funds. Mm-hmm. And so the first couple of years that we received funding, we set it aside for free rides. And then the program has slightly changed. You can only do certain projects for a number of years. So for the last 4 or 5? For the last 4 years, we've actually been setting the money aside and potentially using it as a local match for the zero-emission vehicles. We're looking at, currently we get around 300,000 each year in these funds. So this is the leftover funds from a couple of years ago that we haven't expanded. I think like last September we did the free rides on the links, which we used these funds for. The previous October we had free rides across the entire service. So we've used these funds over the last few years for various free ride programs.
Gotcha. So we have $45,020 in these funds right now. My question is, how much of these funds will be used for this specific program?
I see. I'm sorry.
No, you're
So
okay.
I think we're going to get pretty close, which is why I still need to run some final numbers. But I'd like to start the weekend program, the free weekends, as soon as possible. You know, I think we're looking at potentially $2,500 per weekend. So, you know, if we can do 10 weekends, you know, I think we should get fairly close to the 45,000. I don't anticipate us going over the 45,000.
And so separate from the free rides in June and July, how much for this part of this program, the free rides for youth?
Well, the 45,000 would be for the free rides for youth and for the free rides for the weekends. So I would anticipate that in June and July last year, we spent about 13,000, 14,000 on
Okay.
youth rides. And so I would anticipate spending 25 to 30,000 on free rides on the weekend.
Gotcha. And then what's the breakdown between the eligible reimbursements and then also the campaign that we're doing in coordination with County Connection and other agencies? Is that still paid from the same fund, the campaign?
So I think the campaign would actually, CCTA have said they'll take the lead on the campaign, which
Got it.
would imply that they would do the majority, certainly reduction of the marketing materials.
So we're not paying into that with these funds?
No.
Got it. Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, and just to be clear, so the goal is to spend all the funds, right? That's the goal.
Yes.
And then if we have extra, we'll just keep going till if we end up in July and there's $10,000 left, we'll just keep going.
I mean, I think potentially, yeah. I mean, I think
Yeah, but the goal is we've got a plan here to spend it all, adding the weekends in, et cetera. And then CTA's contribution, like I said, is just the marketing. They're gonna cover those costs as their small amount. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Any other questions? So, yeah, I wondered about the same thing, whether we have to spend the funds. They're not rolled over. They can't be rolled over to another year.
They've been rolled over. This is the final year of the funding. You know. So.
Got it. Thank you. Okay. All right. Having heard your questions from the board, may I have a motion regarding this item?
Do we have to take any public comment?
Oh, do
Just
we
to
have
double
any
check.
public comment? No public comment. Oh, unfortunate. Be nice to have some of those youth comment on a program that's going to be for them, perhaps next year.
That would be great. Motion to approve.
Okay, may I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Continuing with General Manager Thompson for item 6.2, legislative and funding update.
Thank you. So I'll start with the funding. So I think last month I mentioned that I had an upcoming meeting with MTC around Regional Measure 3 funds. They're the funds that we use for some of our express routes, our links routes, our JPX. And that's the fund that has been fluctuated greatly over the last 3 or 4 years that we've received the funding. And we finally got, MTC have finally come up with a proposal to stabilise that funding so we will know what we're getting pretty much annually. There's still some calculation based on ridership, but I was very pleased to work with MTC, and we could anticipate getting just under $1.7 million in those funding next year and hopefully ongoing, which is really helpful for our budget. It puts our budget in a much better place than it was when it was kind of fluctuating. We weren't really sure where that was. So I think it gives us a little bit more stability. Of course, that's coupled with the SB 63 regional ballot measure in November. So the one stipulation with these, no, sorry, I'm going off track there. So very good news about the RM3 money. The only other real update is in terms of the legislative update. So I think last month we talked quite a lot about the SB 1408, which was the Contra Costa Transportation Authority's bill with Senator Arreguín. So the language was stripped out to just simply include the ability for CCTA to go out for a up to 1% sales tax increase or sales tax reauthorization of Measure J. So that's all the language now says. All of the other language that was concerning to the operators has been removed from the bill. The bill did pass the Senate Transportation Committee on Tuesday, and it's now going to the Revenue and Tax Committee on April 20th. I think CCTA would still obviously like to include some of their original language, but as of right now, there's no proposals on the table. We don't have anything to react to. And the senator has sort of indicated that he's happy with where the language is at this point. So I think if CCTA do try and reintroduce any of the language, it has a number of hurdles to go back through, including going back to the Senate Transportation Commission. So we have to kind of wait and see if any of those languages reintroduced.
Thank you. Question. I see Director Bailey.
Yes, Senator Arguin came to, I'm sure he made his rounds, but he came to council. I don't want to speak for him because he's not here, but the indication was that they thought that we wanted that, which I told him that we did not. So I think that was a little bit of a shock from at the time. Also, BART came out, and we always appreciate communicating with our partners and their elected officials that are associated with them. But they did come out to talk about the program, and we did challenge them on this loan stuff that some of us have talked about, because that's not solving our issue. That's a loan, which is different. So I did share that, and I believe our local board member heard us on that as well. So thank you. Thank you for the report, and good job on the funds.
Thank you, Director Bailey, and your colleagues for support and advocacy of that. Any other questions? Okay. All right, may I have a motion? Do we need a motion? No, we don't. We're just listening to the update. Thank you so much. Okay, item 7.0, any committee reports? Again, General Manager.
So just two fairly short items. So we did have the closeout meeting with the Joint Legislative Auditing Committee that have been doing the audit of the 6 East Bay operators and MTC. So we had the closeout meeting 2 weeks ago. We saw a very heavily redacted version of the final report. So the final report will be out on May 19th, but I think I can share that there's no recommendations, no findings for WesCAT within the report. We'll still see how some of the language is written, but I think the only thing, and I'll be upfront, because I think the report will be a little bit critical of some of the WesCAT signage that's out there. I mean, if you've seen some of our signage is fairly old, some of our the bus stop pole that flags are fairly old, and I'm happy to acknowledge that that's a project that we've been working on. We've been working with MTC and the wayfinding and signage program that they're doing. They're finalising some of the draft specifications, and so our plan is to roll out new signage, within the next year, 18 months. It's just that there are some photographs of some old signage in the report that will come out on May 19th. So I just want to be upfront about that's there. And then the only other update I think I mentioned last month was some of the changes that are happening within the Penole Middle School, and some of the challenges that the school district are facing in reorganising where their schools are and kind of ensuring that there's transportation to schools. So we had an initial kick-off meeting with ourselves, AC Transit, Senator Joy's staff, the school district, just to kind of really try and understand what the concerns were. We've got a follow-up, a smaller follow-up meeting with ourselves, AC Transit and the school district, which we're trying to schedule for next week. And then the plan is to come back together as a bigger group. But it's looking like that the potential solution will be AC Transit will extend some of their current school lines to feed into the Penole Middle School. I think they've got some logistical challenges in accessing Penole Middle School and Mar Leicester. So I think there's a bit of work to be done, but that seems to be the most logical kind of approach to what the school district are asking. It doesn't really make sense for us to operate a separate service because these lines are already in existence. If they can just be extended to where they currently come from to go to Penole Middle School, it seems to be the most logical sense. So we're still working on that. I think our offer was to figure out connection with AC Transit as an alternative along Fitzgerald, perhaps at near where the target is, because that's a logical place. But I think if we can have AC Transit work out their logistics, I think they are potentially going to be coming to WCAT for some funding support on that as part of the Measure J28B funding that they have. I think from our perspective, if that comes across, we would support that because I think it's the most logical way to get access for the school kids. So happy to answer any questions, but that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you for that report. Any questions from any of the directors? Director Henson?
Yeah, Rob, thanks for meeting with them. I met her at the WCAT meeting, so that's kind of how it kicked it off. But I'm glad to hear the AC is going to be able to, because that gets the kids all the way there rather than that transfer. How many actually get the yeah? So it'll be nice. So we'll keep our eyes out for the WCAT meeting and support it. So.
Just the one other thing to add, I think the one ask we asked at the school district was to really try and understand how many kids this potentially impacts. Because I brought up that a couple of years ago, the Mandarin school, half of that relocated to Pennell Middle School, and there was a lot of discussion back then and a lot of concern from parents, which none of it actually turned out to be concern from parents. It wasn't a concern, so we're just asking the school district to help us ensure that we understand where these kids are coming from, what is the demand, where do we need to go. So we put the right resources in place.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you for that report. Next item is 7.2, WCAT representative report. Director Henson.
Yeah, so at our last meeting, we had a couple interesting items come up. One was finally got the second alternate chosen for CCTA. That'll be Cesar Zapata from Richmond. That was a little interesting process, but we got through it. Richmond Ferry update, said up to, they got a third more over the last year's ridership, so that looks good. They're looking at 5 new boats. They're battery electric powered. Those will be kind of running between Alameda and San Francisco. And then service originally was built around the commute. And since people are working from home now, basically they're doing all day service now, and they actually ridership's up because of it's all focused around all day rather than just around the commute. And then they're proposing a 6% fare increase for next year. So Richmond Ferry's looking pretty good, and they're working forward to the future. Then there was a discussion about Pennell projects coming up, and the Bay Terre closure. That's for going to help with safety down there on Tenant. And then San Pablo Avenue Bridge project, that's going to be looking at starting at 2028. That's going to be a real complicated project because they can't close any of it. They got to keep it open because it's a highway route. So getting that new bridge built will be interesting to watch happen, but it's going to be really great for both Pennell, Hercules, and West County because it's going to really widen things up. So that was a meeting from the last time we met.
Okay, important information there. Thank you so much. Next we've got item 8.0. Has there been any correspondence since we last met? No correspondence. Okay. We'll write to each other. Okay, thank you for that. Board communications, any communications from any of the directors? No communications? Okay, I just say happy spring, continued happy spring, beautiful weather. Enjoy and stay safe out on the road to all our MV drivers, WesCAT drivers. Item for future board meetings. Any items, item requests? Okay, seeing none. I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for attending, and meeting adjourned at 7:13 p.m.